I'm going to show you here is how I built my version of the giant mobile wood storage cart. Borrowed heavily from Steve Ramsey's design and watched a few other videos. Most importantly, I wanted it to be 8 feet long. I didn't want it to break the bank. I wanted it to be able to be assembled easily without making 8-foot long dados or carriage bolts and like all the different joints. I just wanted something that goes together good, it's strong, and it's fairly cheap. I want to apologize in advance. I did film a lot of this in the middle with my cell phone in portrait mode. Sorry about that, but it's already made. I'm not going to go back and do it again. So anyway, my first YouTube video, and we'll see how that works out. But you know, I used OSB strand board here instead of plywood. It only took 2 sheets with my design for a full 8-foot version of the cart. I utilized 2x4x8s for the base. That's where the strength is really needed. I used 2x3x8s for the upper structure, which doesn't hold a ton of weight, but it's plenty strong the way I built it. You're just going to need a chop box, a circular saw, and a cordless drill, and you can build this thing in one day just like I did, and it's amazing. It holds a ton and it's strong as you ever need it to be. So you know, watch and see what you think, and leave some comments below. So you know, I always interested in hearing what other people have to say. So all right, well, thanks for watching. So I'm building like a variation of Steve Ramsey's mobile wood cart. I'm making some changes. I'm not building it out of all plywood. Plywood is expensive. So using a couple sheets of strand board and 2x3x8s for the A-frame, and some 2x4x8s for the base. Base is what really carries the weight. That's what needs to be beefy. These A-frames really don't carry that much weight. So just go cheap when you can go cheap. And one of the things I'm doing here is creating a jig on the OSB with a couple strips of plywood that I just brad nailed down, so that once I cut all the pieces, pre-cut them all to the right length for all the different pieces, I could just like drop them into the jig, lay the boards together, screw them together. Makes it much more fast, and also makes all these little A-frames that I'm building exactly the same shape. There's not going to be any variation. It's easy, it's fast, and it's cheap here with the 2x3x8s. These things are like $2.50 a piece. The other thing, you know, I didn't want to do is bother with carriage bolts. I didn't want to bother with 8-foot long dados and plywood. So everything's going together as low maintenance, as easy as possible. Screws with an impact driver go in fast. The idea here is to save money, build it quick, and just have the function that you want. You won't see me sanding anything here. I'm not even going to show you me cutting the wood or drilling the wood. I just want to show you the steps that I'm taking. So basically, got a couple more of these to go. It's going to be 8 feet long because although I don't probably have a lot of 8-foot pieces of plywood, I have lots of 8-foot pieces of wood that need to be stored, and I have them hanging up here, which is not safe. I want to get them down. I got a bunch of stuff over here that I got reclaimed. So 8 feet's got to be the deal. But I didn't want to, have like 5 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood. It cost me $250. So we're going cheap, we're going light, we're going fast and easy to assemble. We'll see if the finished product looks good. So got all the notches cut. Time to put the casters on this thing, put it on the ground before I start putting this thing all together, because I don't have to try to lift this thing down by myself. But just wanted to show a little bit of a screw up for those of you who might want to build something like this. Okay, you got, I bought 6 of these casters from Home Depot. These are the most expensive thing on the entire cart. They're $10 a piece. Probably could have got them cheaper somewhere, but I wanted something heavy duty. Well, not really thinking ahead. I was just blowing these screws right in here and of course, the screws are almost identical to the spacing on the caster. So This is going to be a little bit of a game to offset the caster so I can get some screws down through here that aren't going to hit the shafts of those screws, and ditto over here. But you know, just a little thinking ahead, planning ahead could have prevented that, but whatever, it's not a big deal. Just letting you know, you may want to think about that. Back to the build here of the mobile wood cart. So yeah, we got the trusses built when I had the jig set up on that, very easy. And then we just put together the basic box frame for the base. This is 2x4 Douglas fir, nice and sturdy, ain't going nowhere. Basically what's gonna happen is, like, we're gonna mount these trusses in the middle of that. And you know, this is a low-tech build, you know, basically butt joint screws, you know, no dados, no carriage bolts. But when you start to consider the way this thing is going to carry the load, you're going to have 3 shelves here. 1, 2, 3. They'll be loaded with 8-foot long lumber throughout the center of this thing. And you know, it's possible that these could carry some too, even though they're meant for storing wood on end. But you know, if I have some spillover, it might. Anyway, the point is, all the weight that's going to be carried on this truss be transmitted to like screws going through here. So got to do something a little bit more technically involved than I normally would want to. It's not going to be anything crazy. I'm just going to notch this out about halfway right here, and then this will be like a half flap onto this 2x4 right here. That way it'll be sitting on top of itself right here. So that'll give it the support it needs. We'll still put the screws in here along with the half lap here. This thing should have no problem holding up all the weight. And to be honest, this stupid little notch right here, going to cut it with a handsaw. It's got to be the most difficult like cut to make. You got to do like 12 of them. So there's six of these trusses, 2 each. And it's a little bit of, you know, sweat there, but that's it. I mean, like, that's the hardest thing to do here. So we're just going to mark them out. I'll notch them out, and then show you what it looks like after we get that back together. So just to show you a little bit of what the quickest way and easiest way to do this is, actually I use one of these like Japanese style saws with like it's a pull cut saw, really thin curve. But anyway, once you mark out like what the notch is, just use this to cut straight down on those lines, then turn this up on its side, and then just use jigsaw to run it right across there. And you know, takes literally a minute to do each one. And it came out really good, nice and tight. It's going to sit on there nice and solid. And so we just add a couple screws into the base, and this will be just fine. So we'll have plenty of support here. Right, so all the trusses are built. All the trusses are now installed on the cart, along with the casters. Everything looks good. Nice tight fit. This stuff it's got some wiggle to it, but once we put the screw in the OSB, which is going to act like webbing between all these, this thing will be rock solid. And everything is lining up just perfect here. So, like I said, low tech, low cost, high utility. Let's see how it works. Final build is complete on the mobile cart. Check it out. Now, it's hard to explain to you just exactly how shit brick how strong this thing is. Maybe it doesn't look like it, 2x3x8s, but this thing is literally, I could park my truck on it. And we got a ton of storage available. I'm going to fill it up here in a minute, and just wanted to have you take a look at it. It looks very good. I'm really impressed with it, better than I expected. So 10 2x3x8s, 5 2x4x8s, and then 2 sheets of OSB. And this is all that's left. This is the waste right here. I guess I shouldn't change that orientation, but that's it. That's all that's left over from 2 sheets of OSB. Those 2 little strips right there, and all those 2x4s and 2x3s. That's it. So pretty well planned out. And let me fill it up and show you how much it holds. There it is. It's fully loaded up, and it holds a ton. It's 8 feet long, and I got my goal accomplished here, which is build a giant mobile wood storage cart, and borrowed heavily from Steve Ramsey's basic idea, and just replaced a few different items here. So we tried to go cheap as possible, all new materials, but I didn't cheap out on the casters. They're the most expensive part here. $10 a piece. That's $60. But I went with OSB strand board for the web and floor pieces. That's $25 a sheet for 4x8. I used 2x3x8s for the upper part. Plenty strong enough. They don't bear that much weight. I used 2x4x8s Douglas firs for the base, and this whole thing was about $175, and it's huge. So I wanted to store all these like 8-foot long pieces of wood I have in various places. I mean, this thing has completely changed my shop. I used to have stuff everywhere, but now it's all contained here. I'm very happy with it. Feel free to borrow any ideas if you see anything you like. I'm going to try to post a link to like maybe a design I have on SketchUp in the comments below. But anyway, thanks for looking.